a 1 or 2 pager should essentially ask, it's an FAQ page, basically, a fancified FAQ page. But the beautiful thing about the FAQ page is you decide what the questions are, so you decide what the answers are, right? So like great questions to ask on an FAQ page is, or on this 2-pager, one or 2-pager is, how is your program different from others? Right? And that's a great way for you to then like lead in and say it's different this way. By the way, if you want to see a link of me talking about it on this podcast or a stage talk that I gave over here. And the beautiful thing about a 1 or 2-pager is that you can link out to other resources that you already have created, right? So if you have a stage talk, link to the stage talk. If you have a beautiful podcast interview, link to the podcast interview. For some of you who have like webinars and you have those in the past, you could be like, oh, if you want to see me teach on this topic for an hour, watch this video, right? So the beautiful thing about the 1 or 2-pager is you set the tone by asking the questions, right? And so they're not exactly frequently asked questions. They're questions that you want your prospect asking. So it makes you look like a rock star, right? Why are you different? Because of this. Here's the awards I won. Here's what I did, blah, 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 right? You're just loading it up. It can also put outbound links to other videos like YouTube videos or podcast videos or wherever. You can outbound link to that stuff. So if anyone wants to dive even deeper with you, they can do that. You can talk about, one of the great questions is like, what is the investment? Because everyone wants to know before they get on the call. And we've talked about this many times, but one of the ways to address that is to give the range of investment. And if you only have one offer with one price point, still, if you offer payment plans or if you offer get started now with this and then pay the next balance later, like this is where you give the ranges. And even depending on if you want, you can add ranges in there of stuff that you don't actually sell. Like currently, not your main offer. So for example, one on the high end range of my thing, I put what one-on-one year-long coaching is. Now, 0.01% of the people who see that will ever take me up on that. It's $160,000 a year investment. I only have a handful of people who ever do that, but that's the high end of the range. So they're clear. And then the low end of the range is like maybe a self-study course that we'll happy to give you, for a couple grand or whatever. So that's the ranges. And then we use the wording articulately saying, and various options in between, depending on what your needs are. So I throw this out there to say, if you have your pre-call video already set up and ready to go and flashing and perfect on that page, great. Supplement that with a 2-pager or a 1 or 2-pager. And we just call that a resource guide. So we tell people, hey, I've created a video for you and a resource guide of all the frequently asked questions that's going to help you best prepare for this call. If you don't already have your pre-call video, it's a great way to just like fill the gap until you do.
Yeah.
So that's another way. Because again, the last thing we want is, oh no, I got to record another video and it's going to take 3 weeks. So instead, let's just throw an ugly Google Doc 2-pager in there. It covers all the essentials. And who knows, maybe that thing works so darn well that you never have to record the pre-call video either. Right. So that's another way to look at it. But yes, to that point, it's an essential step that people get some information prior to attending the call. I'll tell you this, that the people who actually go through that content before attending the call, way higher probability of closing. So we should always be thinking, how do I get people to consume this content? How do I get people to read the 1-pager? How do I get people to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole with the links that I provide in there? Because if they do that before they get on the call, not everybody does, but if they do that before they get on the call, we're all better off. And again, you could choose how aggressive you want to be at this, because there was a time in our process where if you didn't watch the pre-call video, our Go High Level system would automatically cancel the call because it would track if you did watch the video or not. And if it didn't, we'd cancel it. That was a little aggressive. So we backed off a little bit and we said, we may need to reschedule the call. And that ended up being a nice balance where it still kind of pushed people to consume the video before the call, but didn't force them to reschedule. So just keep that in the back of your mind that the more they can consume that content prior to the call, the better your calls are going to be, the more show up rates are going to be, the more you're going to sell the thing, and the less kind of pushback you'll have. The people who show up completely cold with no context, those are just where you have to pull up our big boy and big girl pants and have a real hard sale conversation. So